Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a good day. Today we're diving into the moment Tu Na finally says, "Don't make me prove I'm strong." And Alex has to choose whether he'll truly stay, without control, without excuses. If you enjoy this kind of grounded family drama, please subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Alex's mother came in with a small plastic bag, the kind that always meant I'm taking over. Packets of pills, a thermometer, a folded paper from the clinic, a cup of warm water already poured, already waiting, like Tu Na's body had to follow a schedule now. "Lie down," she said, not harsh, just certain. Tu Na eased back against the pillow, not because she agreed, because arguing took energy she didn't have. Henry was on the bed beside her, shifting restlessly. He'd been quiet earlier, the way he got when adults were tense. But the moment Tu Na's body went still, the moment her arms weren't free the way they usually were, he started to fuss. A small cry first, then louder. Then the kind of cry that wasn't just noise, the kind that came from panic, from a child realizing the person he depended on might not move when he needed her. Tu Na's whole body reacted before her mind did. She pushed herself upright, reaching for him. Instinct, muscle memory, motherhood without thought. Alex's mother's hand landed on her shoulder immediately. Not violent, firm. "Con nam," she said again. Tu Na's breath caught. Her voice came out rough, lower than usual. "Con nam thi con nie Henry Kuch. Con stress hon." The room went still. Alex's mother didn't answer right away. Her fingers stayed on Tu Na's shoulder, then loosened slightly, like she hadn't expected that sentence to be true in such a simple way. Henry cried harder, reaching toward Tu Na's chest with both hands, his body trembling with frustration. Tu Na pulled him into her arms, just for a moment. She pressed her cheek to his head and breathed in the warm, milky smell of him, like she needed proof she still had her child. Henry clung to her shirt. His sobs slowed, but he didn't relax fully. He stayed tight, like he was afraid the comfort would disappear again. Tu Na's chest rose and fell quickly. Even sitting up made her dizzy now. Even holding Henry made her pulse jump. She didn't want him to feel that. So she did what hurt more than the physical strain. She lowered him gently back onto the bed. Henry protested immediately, crying again, turning his face toward her like he didn't understand why she was choosing to let go. Tu Na tried to keep her hands steady. She sat there, breathing hard, staring at the blanket for a second, like she couldn't trust her own body to stay calm. Alex had been standing near the doorway, quiet, watching the way he did when he was trying to figure out the right thing too late. When he saw Tu Na's breath hitch, when he saw her shoulders shake slightly from effort, his face changed. His eyes went red fast, like he hated himself for needing to see it before believing it. "I'll be here," Alex said. He stepped closer. "I'll hold him." He reached for Henry slowly, not grabbing, giving Henry a second to decide. Henry didn't decide quickly. He stared at Alex's hands the way he had started staring at phones and keys. Like hands were also things that could take someone away. Alex didn't rush him. He stayed still, palms open, voice low. "It's okay, I've got you." Henry cried again anyway, but his body leaned an inch toward Alex, then stopped, unsure. Tu Na watched the hesitation. Something in her tightened, not with jealousy, not with anger, with grief. Because it wasn't normal for a child to hesitate with his father like that. Alex lifted Henry carefully into his arms. Henry's crying didn't stop right away. He arched his body toward Tu Na, still trying to reach her. His small hands grabbed at the air, as if his body hadn't accepted that Mom wasn't the one holding him. Tu Na swallowed hard and looked away for a second, blinking fast. Alex didn't perform. He didn't say, "See, he's fine." He didn't try to make it lighter than it was. He only adjusted Henry against his chest and rocked slightly, quiet, patient. Tu Na's voice came out flat, exhausted. Em kong mun I chum, em nu chum mot ngoi vo dung. The sentence wasn't dramatic. It was worse than that. It was honest. Alex froze, just for a beat. And then he looked at her like he finally understood what the control had been doing to her. Not just to her body, to her dignity. "You're not useless," he said quietly. "You're holding everything." Tu Na kept her gaze on him, eyes wet but steady. "Em Jang Gong," she repeated. But this time it didn't sound like a complaint. It sounded like a fact she was tired of hiding. Alex nodded once, like he accepted the weight of that word. He held Henry tighter, not to cage him, but to give him a boundary that felt safe. Henry's crying softened, not because he was suddenly calm, because he was getting tired, but he still watched Tu Na's face from Alex's arms, still tracking her breathing, still checking if she was okay. Alex's mother had turned slightly toward the table, her hands moving without purpose now, touching the medicine packets, straightening them, then stopping. Her voice dropped lower than before. "Toi kong mon lam kon jiao," she said, not to Tu Na's face, almost to herself. "Nung toi kong mon mat chow." The word chow hung in the room like a warning and a justification at the same time. Tu Na's mouth tightened. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't attack. She answered very lightly, almost gently. "Vei shin mi, jung lei Henry ra lam li do ep con." Alex's mother's shoulders stiffened, not anger, recognition, like she had been called out in the one place she couldn't deny. For a moment, nobody moved. Henry's breathing was uneven against Alex's chest, small hiccups between sobs. His fingers gripped Alex's shirt now, not with trust, but with exhaustion, still holding on. Tu Na lay back slowly because she had to. She adjusted the pillow behind her head and tried to make her body look calmer than it felt, so Henry wouldn't sense panic in her. Alex sat down on the stool near the bed with Henry still in his arms, close enough that Tu Na could see them both. Not so close that it felt like pressure. Alex's mother watched the scene in silence. In her mind, control equaled protection. Control meant nobody died. Nobody lost a child. Nobody lost a future. But here, in this small wooden room, she could see another truth she didn't like. Control could also take something. It could take a woman's sense of being a mother. It could take a child's feeling of safety. And it could take a husband's chance to learn how to stay without being ordered. Alex looked at Tu Na again, voice low. "Tell me what you need. Right now." Tu Na didn't say rest. Rest sounded like surrender. She didn't say help. Help sounded like someone else deciding. She said the smallest thing, the clearest thing. "Jung lam em than ngoi fai shin pep je lam mi," she whispered. Alex's throat moved. He nodded like the sentence hit him harder than any argument could. "I won't," he said, "not anymore." Henry's eyes stayed on Tu Na as if he was listening to tone more than words. His body loosened a fraction, and that tiny loosening made Tu Na's chest ache because it proved how much tension had been living inside him already. Alex's mother stepped back a half step, almost invisible. She didn't apologize. She didn't soften fully, but she didn't touch Tu Na's shoulder again. She only said, quieter than before, "Nu con met, con noi." Tu Na's eyes stayed on her. "Con se noi," she replied, and the way she said it wasn't a promise to obey. It was a promise to exist. Outside, the yard stayed bright with morning light. Workers' voices drifted in and out, distant, normal, like life was still simple somewhere. Inside, the room remained heavy, not with shouting, with boundaries being redrawn, with a child learning, slowly, that crying might not change everything. But silence didn't have to be the only language in the house. And with Tu Na lying there, one hand on her belly, realizing that being taken care of could feel like love, only when it didn't come with losing her right to hold her own child. Alex didn't move from the floor for a long time. He stayed there because it was the first position in that house that didn't feel like power. It felt like waiting, like listening, like being small enough to notice what everyone else had been carrying. Tu Na kept Henry against her chest, but she didn't rock him the way she used to. She didn't perform calm. She held him steady and let his breathing find its own rhythm. Henry's cheek was damp from crying, but his eyes stayed open. He watched the door. He watched the table. He watched anything that might change. Alex's mother stood near the doorway, arms at her sides, as if she was forcing herself not to rearrange the room again. The medicine was already lined up. The warm water was already poured. The schedule was already taped on the wall. Order had been done, but order hadn't fixed the part that mattered. Tu Na spoke without opening her eyes. "If he cries again, I'm going to sit up," she said quietly. Alex's mother stiffened, ready to stop her on instinct. Alex spoke first, cutting in before control could take over. "Then I'll sit with you," he said, "and I'll hold him while you rest." Tu Na opened her eyes and looked down at Henry's lashes. She didn't look at Alex right away, like she didn't want her answer to become a reward. "I don't want you to help," she said. "I want you to stay." Alex nodded once. "I'm staying." Tu Na's mouth tightened. "Not for an hour," she said, "not until it's convenient." Alex's throat moved. "I know." His mother's voice came, careful but firm. "Tu Na, no one is trying to take your place," she said. Tu Na finally looked up. Her face wasn't angry. It was exhausted in a way that made her look older than she was. "But you're trying to manage me like I'm a risk," Tu Na replied. "And when people manage me, they stop seeing me." Alex's mother held her gaze. "You are a risk," she said. "Your pregnancy is weak." Tu Na's hand pressed protectively over Henry's back. "My pregnancy is weak," she repeated. "Not my right to be his mother." The sentence dropped into the room like something that had been waiting for years to be said. Alex's mother's jaw tightened. She didn't like being challenged. She didn't like the feeling that her protection could be called harm, but Henry shifted in Tu Na's arms, one small movement, and then froze when a distant sound from outside carried in like a door closing near the yard. His body stiffened again. Everyone noticed. Tu Na lowered her voice even more. "Look at him," she said. Alex did. He watched Henry's shoulders. The way the child held his breath for a second before deciding whether it was safe to breathe. Alex's mother watched too, and for the first time that night her control looked unsure. "He's tired," she said. "No," Tu Na replied, not harshly. "He's trained." Alex's eyes fell to the floorboards. His hands curled, then forced themselves open again. Tu Na continued, still calm. "Every time a phone buzzes, he expects someone to disappear," she said. "Every time you tell me to lie down while he cries, he learns that a mother's arms can be turned off." Alex's mother's voice sharpened slightly. I told you to lie down because stress can... I know what stress can do. Tuna cut in, gentle but firm. That's why I'm saying this. The way you help me is making me more stressed. Silence filled the space after that. Alex looked up at his mother, then at his wife, like he was finally seeing that he'd been letting two strong women collide, while he stood in the middle pretending he could stay neutral. He couldn't. He spoke carefully. "Mom," he said, "don't hold her down again." His mother's eyes narrowed. "So what? I do nothing?" she asked. Alex shook his head. "You can do a lot," he said, "but you can't do it by taking control of her body." Tuna swallowed. She didn't want Alex fighting his mother for her. She didn't want to be the reason. But she was also tired of paying for peace with her own silence. Alex's mother stared at him. "She's pregnant?" she said again. Like repeating it made her position stronger. "And she's still a person," Alex answered, quiet but steady. "She's not a patient you manage." Tuna's eyes burned, but she didn't cry. She kept her face still because she didn't want to turn this into a scene Henry would remember as loud. Henry lifted his head slightly, sensing the tension shift. His eyes flicked between Alex and Tuna's face. He didn't understand the words, but he understood who was being protected. Alex softened his voice. "Tuna," he said, "tell me what you want in this moment." Tuna's throat tightened. She wasn't used to being asked without consequences. She spoke anyway. "I want to sit up when my body needs to," she said. "I want to hold Henry when he's scared. And if you need to help, help by taking pressure off me, without making decisions for me." Alex nodded. "Okay." His mother's mouth pressed into a thin line. "And what about the baby?" she asked, voice lower. "What about the one inside you?" Tuna's fingers tightened briefly on Henry's shirt, then loosened. "That baby needs peace," she said, "not control." Alex's mother looked like she wanted to argue, but she stopped herself. Not because she agreed, because she saw Henry watching. A child's silence had become a witness. Alex's mother stepped back from the bed. "Fine," she said. "Then we do it your way." Tuna didn't respond with gratitude. She didn't offer softness. She only breathed out once, slow, like she was letting her body unclench a fraction. Alex stayed on the floor. He didn't reach for Henry. He didn't ask for a turn. He waited. After a minute, Henry shifted again. His small hand reached out, not toward Alex's face, but toward Alex's knee. It wasn't affection. It was testing. Alex didn't grab his hand. He didn't squeeze. He let Henry touch and withdraw, without making it a moment. Tuna noticed, and something sharp moved through her chest. Not happiness, not relief, a careful, painful kind of hope. Outside, the farm was waking up. A motor started in the distance. Voices moved past the wooden house. Normal life. Inside, everything still felt fragile. Alex's mother walked to the table, picked up one medicine packet, and held it out. Not pushing it into Tuna's hand, not insisting, just offering. Tuna looked at it, then at her. "What is it?" she asked. "For nausea," Alex's mother replied. "The doctor said it was safe." Tuna took it slowly, not because she was obeying, because she had chosen to accept. She swallowed it with a sip of warm water. Alex watched that exchange like it mattered more than any contract he had signed, because it wasn't about medicine, it was about permission. Henry's breathing finally slowed. His eyes stayed open, but his body stopped bracing. Tuna leaned her head back and closed her eyes again. Alex stayed where he was, and his voice came low. "I'm sorry," he said. Not loud, not dramatic, just placed carefully into the room. Tu Na didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was quiet. "Don't be sorry," she said. "Be different." Alex nodded once. "I will." His mother exhaled as if she wanted to say something, then stopped. For once, she didn't rush in to shape the conversation. She sat on the stool near the doorway, back straight, hands folded again. Still herself, still controlled, but quieter. Tu Na opened her eyes. "And one more thing," she said to Alex's mother. The older woman looked up, alert again. Tu Na kept her voice calm. "Please don't use Henry as a reason," she said. "If you're scared, say you're scared, but don't turn him into a tool." Alex's mother's eyes hardened for a second, then softened in a way that looked unfamiliar on her face. "I am scared," she admitted, almost reluctantly. "I don't want to lose a grandchild." Tu Na nodded. "I don't either," she said. "So we stop making fear the boss of this house." Silence again. But this time, it didn't feel like someone disappearing. It felt like a new boundary being drawn without violence. Alex's phone stayed off. The medicine stayed on the table. Henry's hand rested lightly against Tu Na's wrist, as if he was holding her there, not letting her slip away. Alex watched that small hand, and his eyes turned wet. He blinked hard and didn't let tears fall, because he didn't want to make Tu Na comfort him. He didn't deserve comfort yet. He deserved responsibility. He stayed on the floor until Tu Na's breathing deepened and Henry's eyelids finally started to droop. Only then did Alex stand, slowly, carefully, like standing could wake the whole fragile piece. He didn't leave the room. He sat on the edge of the bed, close enough to be real, not close enough to demand anything. And Tu Na, half asleep, still holding Henry, whispered one line without opening her eyes. "Don't make me prove I'm strong," she said. Alex's voice came back immediately, steady. "You don't have to," he replied. The house stayed quiet, but it was the kind of quiet that still waited to see if the next buzz, whenever it came, would undo everything again. Tu Na refuses to be cared for in a way that strips her of control. Alex's mother brings medicine and insists Tu Na lie down and stop carrying Henry. But Henry cries for his mother, and Tu Na admits the crying stresses her more than resting helps. She holds Henry briefly, exhausted, then sets him down, breathing hard. Alex steps in, eyes red, promising to stay and carry Henry himself. But Tu Na draws a line. She won't be treated like someone useless or controlled in the name of protection. Alex reassures her she's not weak. She's holding everything together. Alex's mother quietly admits fear of losing her grandchild, and Tu Na asks her not to use Henry as pressure.